Hey everybody, welcome to the Thumb. I was walking through my shop this morning and I look at all the things that I've got to do, just housekeeping stuff. And here's a little project I had just from yesterday. Matter of just picking some stuff up, putting away. Got my chainsaw stuff laying here on the floor. The reason that's there is because when the weather's right, I'm going to get back out into the woods. But I have my ice fishing stuff, which I'll probably never use this season again. Welder's sitting there, got a little project going. There's some steel sitting on the plasma table and down on the floor of something that you'll see in a later video. Yeah, just a lot of stuff to clean up. But what I really wanted to talk about was I was at a friend of mine's place, and it's a place that I've been around my whole life, basically. And he's had some health issues lately. Well, the last few months, actually, since fall. And never really had the energy to do his housekeeping around the farm. And on the dairy side of things, he's got free stalls and he beds with sand, and it needs some love. I mean, the sand is, it's they need to be freshened up. Let's put it that way. And the free stalls, the manure, I scraped it for him the one day I was there, just because he was actually in the hospital that day. And I went back the next day and kind of hauled some manure for him, or helped, I should say. And then a couple of days later, I went over there, and his wife was sitting in the skid loader, and she is sick. And she's kind of the right-hand man around there. And his son helps a little bit, but he's got a life too. Anyway, but I looked at like their heifer pens and stuff like that, and they really need some help. They haven't been bedded right, and it's kind of a sloppy mess. I kind of feel sorry for the cattle, but I just wanted to kind of compare that to bale grazing your young stock. Beef cattle they're tougher than dairy cattle are. Don't be offended if you're a dairyman by me saying that, but they're just bred to be out in the cold and the wind and the snow, and browsing through a foot of snow to survive. Dairy cattle are kind of wimpy. They're just spoon fed, basically. But that being said, I think your young cattle could handle some bale grazing. Now I want to go out to my lot and show you what I got going, or what's going on. If you haven't seen my videos, you're going to be like, here we go again, bale grazing. But yeah, hang with me. So years ago, that friend of mine put a milking parlor in, and converted his old stanchion barn into where he keeps his young cattle. He puts the cattle out in, basically hutches like that, or baby calves, and then when they get to a certain age, they end up in that barn. And yeah, he's had it closed up all winter, so it's pretty stuffy in there anyway. But then, yeah, and they're kind of up to their knees in manure, and it is stuffy and stinky and everything else in there. It's hard to even breathe. But yeah, I couldn't help but think of, this is kind of messy, I'm not going to lie, and today is kind of frozen up, so it's not as messy as it could be, but they do have a dry place to lay down. It's fresh, open air. The manure, see that pile over right there? That's my manure out of this from last year. I'm going to put it in a pile, and I guess the kind of composting it. But if you look out across the way there, you can see where all my manure is already spread. For the most part, all the manure that, if I would have had them confined into a barn, all that manure would be piled up into a little spot about the size of that shed, probably, if I did it the way the friend of mine does. So yeah, you look at all those pads of manure out there, they would be all piled up in one spot, and I don't even have to touch them again. All that hay that they didn't eat would have to be hauled out onto a field or whatever through a manure spreader. I don't even own a manure spreader. I do have the ability to get one or whatever if I had to, but I don't plan on doing it. Even that compost pile, I think just hung up with a dump wagon or something. But yeah, even you know, placing all those round bales there way out in the distance. I did that all in one afternoon, and I just move the fence whenever they need more hay. I don't have to go out every day and feed them. It's kind of a lazy way to do it, you might say, but it's I don't care. It's good for the cattle, and it's a lot less stress. I was looking around that farm, even though it wasn't my farm. I looked at all the work that needs to be done. You know, the pens cleaned out, the manure hauled out onto the field. Taking the chance this time of year getting stuck with the manure spreader breaking down, and then you have to pitch out the manure out of the manure spreader. Just all the certain things that bale grazing would change. And I don't know why more people don't do it on a smaller scale. I mean we have farms that, the dairy farms where, I mean, there's caseloads, say 3, 4, 5,000 cows on the farm. Obviously you can't do it, bale graze that many cattle. And you could, I guess, but you need a lot of ground. But so that being said, I just I wish younger, smaller farms would do this, even with their young cattle on dairy farms. So confine your milking cows, because that's the only way you're going to get much production out of them, if that's what you're after. But your young cattle, I don't see why you couldn't do this. There's tons of ground around barns that probably grows up into weeds or whatever, that you could, it could be the sides of your bunks or your around your manure pits. All that stuff could be grazed and then bale grazed. So anyway, I guess that's my preaching for today. I guess I just wish people would consider doing this with their cattle instead of locking them in a musty old barn and let them get out and get the sunshine when they want it. And they can do whatever they want all day long and act like cattle instead of, I don't know what kind of animal would want to be locked up in a barn all day. But anyway, yeah, that's my preaching for today, and I really appreciate you guys watching Thumb Country Stuff, and take her easy.